Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Josh Hand for Lifestyle Locker Radio. You're listening to episode 148, and this is the Race to 100, episode 8. And this is called The Discomfort Zone. So I'd like to share a quote. Actually, I'm going to share 2 quotes with you to start. I love starting these with amazing quotes from either people that inspire me or just quotes that inspire me to do better and be more. So these 2 are from David Goggins. So first quote: the brain always quits before the body does. Once the mind knows you are not going to quit something, it's going to try to find more. It's going to try to give you more. I love that because that just shows the power of headspace. That shows the power of our mindset. So that's the first one. Second one, love this one as well. Everybody comes to a point in their life when they want to quit. But it's what you do at that moment that determines who you are. So I want you to take both of those quotes to heart and pay attention and listen, and even listen to yourself during life and decide, do I really need to quit now? Or am I just quitting because I'm afraid of what might happen? All right. So let's go into let's go into the why, right? This is important because the longer I get into the training, the closer I'm getting to this mega event, the scarier it is. And I'm noticing that my fear is increasing, but also, I shouldn't say too much fear, like my nervousness is increasing. And so is my anxiousness going, holy cow, 100 miles. Like, why am I doing this? So the why, right? These are important things. I initially thought I was doing this because I thought it was cool. I listened to David Goggins' books. I had already been through a marathon, ultra marathon, 50-mile overnight ruck, and this just seemed to be the order and the next thing. This may have been a little bit bigger jump, but I realized, as I signed up for this and have started my training, I guess there are a couple whys. Like, why am I doing this? One is really to test myself mentally and physically. I've had ups and downs in life, like most of us have had in my business and in my marriage and all these different areas of my life. And what I'm realizing is, like with this training, I have to build in consistency in everything that I do in order to succeed, in order to give my absolute best, right? So I'm doing this. My why is multifaceted. There's a couple parts to it, I guess. And my first why, as I think about it, is really to be able to push myself to the point of breaking and have the composure to have the I don't even know how to put this for you, but I want to make sure that I am able to keep pushing forward when I'm getting knocked down on a regular basis. And like the quotes we just read, that one with David Goggins that says everybody comes to a point in their life when they want to quit, but it's what you do at that moment that determines who you are. So my why is I've done a lot of cool things in my life, and I've noticed that I may have been a quitter before. Then I think about it, being a baseball player, being a very good baseball player in high school, in the end of high school, when I was on a traveling team, and I had a poor coach that discouraged me. Not that he did anything directly to me, but he didn't play me after I had a game-winning home run to get us to the next game, which was right before the state championships. So, I just quit. I didn't want to play anymore. He just totally ruined it for me. But really, it was me that really loses because I quit something that I loved because of someone else. So I look at that. I look at my skiing career, my alpine skiing career, and when I realized that, between school and racing, that I had to make it, be a little bit better and put in more time, put in more training, hire another coach when I was in college skiing. If I wasn't doing this, I wasn't, willing to drop everything else in my life to become a professional skier. I just quit that as well. And, I was good. I finished almost top 20, I believe, most of the time in our races when we'd race around the Northeast here in the U.S. But, man, I think about it. Quitting is something that I've done, and I want to stop quitting. I've seen it in lots of different areas in my life. And so that's probably my why, is to break the habit of quitting, right? That's one of my big whys. I do not want to quit. I want to set out to do something and do it well, right? So that being said, that's the first why. Doing something fully through so I don't quit. And that's important. And obviously knowing what I'm doing. If I'm doing something in business that's not generating what it should be generating, whether it's whatever the factors may be, I can pivot and change, but I don't want to quit shooting towards that initial goal that we had. So that's the first thing. Is that second thing is I love I'm a chiropractor, right? So I love seeing people do and be well and have the things in their lives that they need, the tools that they need to inspire themselves, to encourage themselves, to be their best versions of themselves. And running this race, it brings up a lot of conversations in my practice. Everything from like, you're crazy. Why in the world would you do such a thing? And, people like, I wouldn't run I wouldn't run across the street unless someone is chasing me. And to like, wow, that is so awesome. That's so inspirational. You know what? I just started running. I ran my first 5K. That, to me, that's amazing. People taking control of their own health and their lives is so important. And for me, fitness is such a big part of my life. Because, I think about how people go and socialize and do things, and maybe I'm weird or different, but I don't mind necessarily going out and having a drink. But I would say, hey, let's all meet up and go for a hike, go for a walk, go for a run, right? Like, those are the things that I think are really cool if we can bring our healthy lifestyle into the social setting. Because right now I think social settings, not that they're not fun, but they usually just revolve around eating and drinking, right? So do we need to do those things sometimes? Without a doubt. But I think that's done too much of the time. I think the positive, the inspirational thing that I think is so neat is that we have the opportunity as we start to evolve and grow and get healthier to make choices and maybe change paradigms rather than saying, hey, let's meet up after work and meet at the bar and go get a drink. Hey, you know what? I'm going to head home. You head home. Let's change. Let's go for a walk or a run. Let's just talk about our day, get stuff off our head, whether it's go with the family or a coworker if you're not with someone else, not married or with another person. I think that's a great way to start shifting some paradigms because I think healthier people make better choices in life anyway, right? So my whys are one, right, to follow through and not to quit something I set out to do. And two is to keep myself and you inspired to really take control of your health and your life. And that's why I'm doing this race to 100 and I'm sharing my journey with you. So that it's really important that you know my why. I think it's important you know my why. And some of the lessons I've learned along the way is that stuff gets really hard sometimes, right? In this training for me has been pretty hard. And I'm going to go through just some of my training this week. And, you've seen I've done up to 60-mile weeks. I've done 5 days of sprinting. Took a week off from travel. Did lots of different things, lots of variations of working out in the dead heat of summer here in the Northeast. Training on days that are upper 90s, high humidity. And now as the summer winds down, training in much cooler, more comfortable weather, I'm able to see different levels and how my capacity has grown as an athlete. And I can tell you, there are things that are important for us to know and to do as we go through these types of training. As I go through this training, I've tested everything from food, some nutrition, what else? Sleep. I do my best, and life always throws curveballs, and that's all right. It depends on how you practice your swing, is how I should say this. I've had my nephew was just born this past week, Connor James Silverman, such a cute little baby. You'll probably hear more and see of them, as I share some pictures down the road. So I was, our family is very close, so I was around. My sleep pattern stunk the night of that birth, so I was up at the house. It was a home birth, and obviously I wasn't in the room for the birth, but I was there supporting. Our whole family was there. People came from all over, and we made it an event, if you will, because celebrating life is something super, super important that I think we don't get to do enough of. And the amazing thing was, being that this was a home birth, it's experiencing the excitement of midwives running around the house and staying up late, a lot later than I wanted to. The reason I'm bringing this up is this was a curveball that was thrown at my training, not at me really, but at the training. I had to stay up super late. So that was a Thursday. So I'll go into my training right now and share this with you. So I get back Thursday, get home. What day did I run? I didn't train Tuesday. So yeah, here's the first curveball actually. Hold on the birth. Started a major construction project at my house, and I didn't get really any training done. I was dealing with contractors and all sorts of stuff all day until the evening, and yeah, so that just kind of threw that curveball, and I didn't eat really well. I was a little stressed, and I didn't train that day, which is not the best thing to do when you're training for an event like this. But nonetheless, Thursday comes into play. I have an amazing day seeing patients in the office, and come back, heard there's stuff going on. The baby may be born soon. She's in labor, blah, 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 blah. So I come home. Nothing's going on. It's kind of, the labor's a little slow at this point. So I go for my first run of the week, which was I believe a 13.55 marathon, 13.55 or whatever mile run. Great. It was hot, but I felt really good. I came back nice and salty, and first time I ever saw myself look so salty, I guess because the air was much cooler, things were drying on me versus like the constant waterfall, which you've seen in my Facebook lives. And but man, that was a tough one. I got in and I got out to the run. I wanted to call it at 3 mile 3. I was just felt tired, burned out. It was midday after like super late night and then early morning. But nonetheless, I go into that pain cave and tell myself as I'm going in there that, like, holy cow, you need to be able to break through. Just break through. You can do. You've ran 21 miles in a training run. You've ran sprints at 2 miles. You've ran ultra marathons. Why do you want to quit at mile 3? Because you're tired? Because you're, maybe you had something you shouldn't have ate? These are all choices I made, and I had to deal with the consequences. So I pushed through 13.55 miles, felt great at the end. Then that was a super duper late night. That was the night. So I was up from 5 a.m. The birth was at 11:20 or something like that at night, and didn't get home till about 1 o'clock in the morning. And then the next day, early morning run, right? So actually, did I run the next day? I gotta check my numbers here, but I had no, I didn't actually run. I took Friday off, and then I ran again yesterday, and yesterday was a killer. It was awesome. So my first run, I believe, was like a 9:30 something. You can check Strava if you'd like, or my Garmin account if you follow me. If not, you just need to if you want to. I believe it was like a 9:43 or something, 9:34, something like that was my pace for the 13.55 miles. A lot of hills. Felt great. It was one of the fastest runs I've done in a long time. So I was super pumped. It was under a 10-minute mile. So then come Saturday, go out and run around this place called Rockland Lake State Park. It's pretty flat, right? I think the whole elevation gain I had was like 600 or something like that for the whole thing, or maybe it's 64. It was something crazy low. But what I did my loops, and I finished 13. I didn't do 13.2, but I did about 13 miles, and I did that with an 8:34 pace. So I was floored, blown away, like how fast I actually have gotten myself. I'm like, well, what am I doing? And if I want to go backwards to what we were just speaking about before, is not quitting, right? Not quitting. I set out to do this, and my training has led me up to today, right? Every day leads me up to the next day, and how I tackle or accomplish what I do that day. So all my training has led me up to become a faster runner for me. Not that I need to be super fast during an ultra marathon or 100-mile run, right? But I need to be consistent. So then felt good, was kind of pumped, and like, wow, okay, fastest 13 miles I think that I could ever remember. Then run again today, so another 24 hours later, and I have I think a record half marathon, which was an hour 55 for me, which is always like an 8:43 pace. So I was pumped, super pumped, and these were like 3 very fast days for me. So I'm taking that 3 half marathons just about this week, and I feel absolutely amazing. So I want you to think, for yourself, where in your life are you in places like I was at that 3-mile mark where I wanted to quit. And I was 3 out of 13 and a half miles, right, in my run. And I was able to mentally and physically push through to hit 13 and a half miles. So where in your life, whether it's business, relationships, family, work, whatever it may be, where do you see yourself like wanting to cut it short? Where? Right? So I know you have more in the tank. Another from one of my mentors, I call him my digital mentor, David Goggins, he says when you hit that wall, you're only at 40%, right? You're only at 40%. You can go a lot more. So I urge you to really dig deep when you're going for your run, whether you're at 1 mile or whether you're shooting for a 100-mile ultra marathon. Shoot for the moon. Know that if you're shooting for a mile and you only get like a half a mile in or a quarter mile in, and your body's like, listen, you've not done this before. You need to stop. You need to stop. You can't do this. And you just tell your mind, nope, I set out to do this 1 mile. I'm going to complete it no matter what I do. Walk, run, crawl, I'm doing it. And complete it. You can do it. I really, truly believe that once you take ownership and responsibility for yourself in all areas of your life, then you can go ahead and win, right? Most people that are going to do what you set out to do, the people that are like the naysayers, the people that like look at you and go, well, you can't do that. They haven't even done what you've tried and failed at. So don't listen to the people that have never done anything. If someone's an ultra marathoner, is a weathered, someone that's like a salty sea dog, like a sail captain that sailed around the world, if he's saying, hey, listen, maybe you should just pay attention to the storms coming up and prepare yourself for them, you listen to someone like that, right? If you have someone that doesn't own a boat and they say, hey, listen, are you sure you want to do this type of trip? The weather might be bad. You don't listen to someone like that. You get some knowledge, and you get knowledge from people that have done it before you, and you get knowledge from your own experiences, and your headspace will determine how far you want to go. So that's my message for today. And what I'm taking from this for myself, because I learn as I do these talks as well with you, these podcast shows, that man, I have a lot to grow. I have a lot to learn. And in the podcast world, in the chiropractic world, in the running world, in the endurance running world, I feel like I'm a baby at 40 years old. And I'm just getting started. So I'm not out to quit. I don't know what the next journey may be. It may not, maybe a marathon, maybe, I don't know, who knows what after the 100. And I'm realizing that the time and energy that I'm putting into this type of event, if I invest that same time and energy into other things in my life, what in the world can I accomplish? Right? So that's just food for thought for me and for you. If you could put energy into something that you absolutely love and see it through, all the way through, where else in your life can you apply that same energy, that same mindset, and move forward? Right? So that's where I'm going to finish. So I do appreciate you for listening, for jumping in and enjoying this video if you're watching it, or if you're listening to it through some earbuds on your phone. Again, I appreciate you so much. If you are listening to this through iTunes or other podcast players, would you mind just jumping in and give us a review? We're going to keep plugging these Race to 100 podcasts. We're going to keep plugging along every single week. We're going to be putting them in until the week after the event, maybe even a little bit after, because I want to start to share some of my recovery with you as well, and what I'm doing and how I'm doing. I'm glad you're on this journey with me. Your support's important for me, and I appreciate you and hope this inspires you to be the best version of yourself. All right, I'm Dr. Josh Hand for Lifestyle Locker. Have a great day, evening, or night, wherever and whenever you're listening from. All right, bye-bye.